Gospel according to Luke. Jesus said to his disciples, "To you who hear, I say, love your enemies. Do good to those who hate you. Bless those who curse you. Pray for those who mistreat you. To the person who strikes you on one cheek, offer the other one as well. And from the person who takes your cloak, do not withhold even your tunic. Give to everyone who asks of you, and from the one who takes what is yours, do not demand it back. Do to others as you would have them do to you. For if you love those who love you, what credit is that to you? Even sinners love those who love them. And if you do good to those who do good to you, what credit is that to you? Even sinners do the same. If you lend money to those from whom you expect repayment, what credit is that to you? Even sinners lend to sinners and get back the same amount. But rather, love your enemies and do good to them, and lend expecting nothing back. Then your reward will be great, and you will be children of the Most High. For he himself is kind to the ungrateful and the wicked. Be merciful, just as your Father is merciful. Stop judging, and you will not be judged. Stop condemning, and you will not be condemned. Forgive, and you will be forgiven. Give, and gifts will be given to you. A good measure, packed together, shaken down, and overflowing will be poured into your lap. For the measure with which you measure will in turn be measured out to you. The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
Please be seated. The readings today are, especially the Gospel reading, shows how Jesus was so countercultural at the time that he lived on this earth. The Jews who heard him say, love your enemies, do good to those who hate you, that was something that just did not compute in their minds. Enemies were enemies, and they were to be attacked. They were to be destroyed. When you lent money, you got money back with interest. So this gospel is very countercultural. And it points out one of my own big weaknesses. I'm Irish. And sometimes I suffer from a unique form of dementia, which is Irish dementia, where I only remember the grudges. But this gospel points out that God's way is to be merciful. He gives us the golden rule. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Stop judging, and you will not be judged. I think sometimes that particular statement is misunderstood, because I think God expects us to judge actions, but what we should not be judging is someone's heart. Some actions are bad, and we can judge those actions and say that is bad. But we can never say that person is bad, because only God knows that. Only God knows a man's heart. Every one of us was created by God in his image. So we should not be looking for an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. I think I pointed that out in one sermon, that particular Old Testament phrase, an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth, was actually a direction from God to put limits on what you can expect in return for somebody who does you evil. Because in those times, it was not uncommon for someone who stole a sheep from a village, for that village to go to the person who stole that sheep and destroy his entire village, man, women, and children. So God's direction with an eye for an eye actually put limitations. Said you should not expect anything more than what you have lost. So when we judge actions, not people. We always tell the truth, but with love. And this was very countercultural in Jesus' time, and it's also very countercultural in our time. Because when someone does us wrong, we have that urge to get revenge. As Abishai indicated, we want to nail that person who has done us wrong. But you know, in the end, every time that I have sought vengeance in my life and took vengeance, it was never satisfying. It doesn't satisfy anything. Forgiveness, on the other hand, makes you feel good inside. And that's why this is so countercultural, because it's contrary to our initial reaction to someone who does us wrong. But it's, in the end, a blessing when we forgive and love our neighbor and not judge our neighbor's heart. So let's try and keep that in mind as we go through our lives. It's hard. Our initial reaction is going to be to seek vengeance. At least mine will be. But when that happens, let this gospel come to your mind so that we remember that we should love and pray even for our enemies. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the